Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in Jew. Are very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Thank you very much. You're too kind. Thank you. Settle down. Uxus. Is it uxus or uxus? Zack Snyder has posted a picture of young Darkseid on Vero, and by now, as usual, it's all over the internet. Look at this. Just look at this. Beautiful. Beautiful. Look at that. That's fucking amazing, right? Look at that awesomeness. I just want to hold this up to you for the rest of the video, but that would be fucking boring, wouldn't it? So whenever the track gets cold for release, the Snyder Cut, Zack posts something else. And you know what's really funny for those so-called Snyder fans? Leave him alone. Let him get on with his career. He doesn't want to. He wants the Snyder Cut released. It's his masterpiece. It's his work. He wants us to see it, for crying out loud. He wants to make more DCEU movies. He does them so well. He doesn't marvelize things. He makes deep fucking cuts, and he's amazing. And what we were robbed of with the theatrical cut of Justice League was despicable, and there were no morals how they moved the man on either. I want to see this. I want to see this in live action. I want to see Darkseid's story, because anyone who's read any DC comic story about Darkseid knows he's a very interesting character, more interesting than Thanos, for crying out loud. So there you have it. Very, very exciting. So now let's talk about Ezra Miller. Everyone's talking about Ezra Miller. Everyone's talking about the fact that the It movie Chapter 1 and 2 director will be directing the Flash movie, and Christina Hodson will be kind of adapting Ezra Miller's story. So this is going to be very, very exciting. But I saw one of the directors of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse saying, so they're making a dark Flash movie. Well, this is my channel, and I have a right to fucking reply. And my right to reply is this: just because he's a horror movie director doesn't mean it's going to be a totally dark story. But if it was, so what? Dark stories are the best. They're exciting. David F. Sandberg's a horror movie director. There was some darkness in Shazam, but he did the comedy fantastically as well, because David F. Sandberg is actually a really, really funny, light-hearted guy. So there. But at the end of the day, this Flash movie will have bolts of brightness and bolts of darkness, because all films and all stories should have a balance. No, not all superhero films should have bright colours and bright themes and jokes. You know, you like the MCU? I think the MCU's okay. You watch a film and then you forget about it. That's cool. But the DCEU has always been different to that, and that's been controversial. But no, not all superhero stories should be bright and funny. If you can't handle that, you've got the MCU. As I say, the DCEU is doing really different, something really different, and that's awesome. Walter Hamada has taken control and said, we are making this Flash movie with the creatives I know and I trust, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. Ezra Miller won his little battle. They were never going to get rid of him. They were never going to move him on for those directors. I was always pretty confident about that, although rumours were coming out to the contrary. I think it would have been really, really difficult to move him on, because Warner Brothers love him. Warner Brothers feel they need him. They think he's their chosen one, if you like. And he's a brilliant advocate for gender issues. He's a very interesting young man, but he's a very talented young man. And I think you couldn't get a better person playing the Flash. So I'm really, really excited. For those people saying, will this happen? The other versions didn't happen. It's going to happen. You know, Walter Hamada doesn't mess about. Walter Hamada is in charge. He's going to make this happen. This is going to happen very quickly. The development stage will start now. Christina Hodson will rewrite that story idea, or I can't wait. So yes, the script that Ezra Miller and the comic book legend did, again I've forgotten his name, but was binned, but they were never going to use the script. It was all about their story, and Christina can develop that. You know, they're very, you know, Ezra Miller just didn't agree with a light, funny Back to the Future type story. I would have enjoyed the hell out of a Flash Back to the Future type story. I think it would have been very interesting and fun. and I would have watched it and enjoyed it, and I'm sure it would have made money. But the point is, the star of this movie is a die-hard Flash fan. He knows the Flash better than a lot of us. So I love Ezra Miller. I'm excited he's still on board, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about this ever since the news broke. This is good. This is positive. Someone said some load of crap the other day. Oh, whenever you get good DCEU news, bad news is to follow. No, there is no bad news. We're making films. We've got 5 or 6 movies that are going to be shooting potentially in 2020. Now, I'm assuming they're not going to release 6 movies in 2021, but this sets them up for the next maybe 2 to 4 years. So you can have 2 movies 1 year. So next year you've got Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman, 1984. You'll probably have Black Adam, the Shazam sequel as well in 2021. The Batman could be late 2021, I would assume. And then you could have The Flash in 2022 maybe. I don't know. Or maybe we're just going to get loads of DCEU films. And once the Joker movie is released, I think they'll, because that's going to be successful. You know, we're not talking about box office records here, but it's going to be successful for what it is. It's an R-rated movie, so it probably can't make $1 billion, but it's going to make a lot of money, and people are going to love this film and not going to be able to stop talking about this film. So I foresee a Black Label movie being announced a couple of weeks afterwards, after the Joker movie is released. Also, that's going to be very exciting because the Black Label that Walter Hamada has created here has the potential to do anything. A Lex Luthor movie, you could even do a fucking Perry White movie if you wanted to. It's not particularly something that would capture the imagination, but I tell you what, wouldn't you watch the hell out of a Perry White movie, especially with the bloody actor they had playing him in Man of Steel and BVS as well? I mean, come on. But, you know, they were not going to do that. I'm just giving you an example. There's so many characters within this universe that you could do an Elseworld story about. So, as I say, Walter Hamada is a very clever man. He's a proper leader. He's the leader, really, this franchise never had. Someone who doesn't need a Twitter account, someone who doesn't need to be talked about all the time, but someone who's planning on the future of this franchise. And ever since Justice League and the reaction to it and how they treated Snyder, they got rid of the people who caused that situation, and now we are moving forward. You can support the Snyder Cut, but still support Walter Hamada's blueprint for the future of the DCEU. So what do you think? Are you excited about Uxus or Uxus, Young Darkseid? Would you like to see him in the Snyder Cut? Yes, I would watch the hell out of that. And what do you think about this Ezra Miller situation? What do you think with the Flash moving forward with another New Line Cinema creative and Christina Hodson too, who's really been talked about as one of the great writers? You know, you can't imagine her kind of doing a Marvel movie, but this is a woman who understands storytelling and the complexities and the fleshing out of storytelling too. So as I say, as a DCEU fan, as a DC World of Films fan, I mean, I've been watching DC films all my life. I fell in love with Superman through Superman the movie. So for me, these are very exciting times, and I shall see you in the next video. Get commenting down below. Please like, share, and subscribe.